My parents said I refused to give my brother a kidney. The transplant letter said otherwise. When my younger brother Owen needed a transplant, my parents called before he did. Mom was crying, but her voice became steady when she reached the reason for calling. "You're his sister, Helena," she said. "This is what family does." I was 34 and managed a small library outside Milwaukee. To my parents, those facts meant my health, savings, and time were all available. Owen and I weren't close, but we weren't enemies either. He had simply been protected from every difficult thing. When he left trade school, my parents called it courage. When I finished graduate school, they asked why it took so long. Still, I agreed to be tested. I didn't announce it because the transplant coordinator stressed that the process was private. I used vacation days for blood work, interviews, and imaging. My friend Marisol drove me to the final appointment. The surgeon was kind and direct. My blood type worked, but the imaging showed a vascular pattern that made donation unsafe. "You are not an acceptable donor," she said. "That decision protects you." A formal letter arrived several days later. It stated that I had completed the evaluation and was not medically eligible to donate. I showed the letter to my parents at their kitchen table. Dad read it twice before sliding it back. Mom glanced toward the hallway, as if Owen might somehow hear us from his apartment across town. "He doesn't need another disappointment," she said. "Let us explain it gently." I asked what that meant. Dad said they would tell him the process had ended and spare him the details. Then Mom texted me after I left. "If people think you got nervous, they'll stop asking questions. Please don't make this harder for Owen." I replied that she could not say that. She sent a heart and changed the subject. 2 weeks later, my aunt hosted a fundraiser at the church hall. I arrived with Marisol and a tray of sandwiches. My cousin Beth stopped me beside the raffle table. "I know surgery is frightening," she whispered. "Nobody blames you for backing out." Across the room, Mom was accepting hugs. Dad stood near a poster that read, "Help Owen find his hero." During his thank you speech, Dad praised Owen's bravery. Then he said not everyone had been strong enough to continue. He never used my name. He didn't have to. I set down my paper cup and walked outside. Marisol asked whether I wanted to confront them. Instead, I photographed the letter and sent it directly to Owen, along with Mom's text. He called from the hospital parking lot 10 minutes later. "They told me you never finished the tests," he said. I could hear his car door chiming behind him. I told him the truth once, without defending myself. Owen was quiet, then asked me to forward everything to his transplant social worker. He removed our parents from the fundraiser account that evening. A hospital foundation handled the money after that. Months later, a deceased donor match became available. Owen's surgery went well, and his recovery was slow but steady. At his first family dinner afterward, he thanked the nurses, the donor's family, and everyone who had helped. Then he looked at me. "Helena was the first person who tried," he said. "Mom and Dad knew she couldn't donate." Nobody shouted. Beth stared at my mother. My aunt quietly moved an empty chair away from Dad. My parents left before dessert. The next morning, Mom asked me to tell everyone there had been a misunderstanding. I wrote back, "The letter says exactly what happened." Owen and I now meet for breakfast once a month. We are learning to know each other, without our parents translating. I never corrected their version after that. Owen already had.